Alright, welcome back to another stream. We are doing some Gourmand speedrunning. And not only Gourmand, actually. I am planning for the next few streams. I don't know, a lot of my upcoming streams are going to be speedruns, and I'm planning on going through all of the Downpour characters. Gourmand, Artificer, Rivulet, Spearmaster, and Saint. I want to do speedruns in all those characters. And not just like a few attempts here and there, but I would like to try to optimize my times. At least a decent amount. I might skip over Rivulet because I've already done what I think is a really good run for that character. Although there's some other things that I'd like to do instead. So we're starting with Gourmand. And I have done a few speedruns before. Not that optimal, only like a few attempts here and there. So yeah, this is going to be practice too. Let's get started. Oh wait, splits. Should I have splits? I'll have splits. If I can find where they are. So if I make mistakes or die a few times, I'll just keep going just to get some practice in the later parts of the run. Can I get the splits on the screen? There it is. Okay, let's get started. So the first thing I want to talk about is the route that I have planned. Went through a few changes recently, but or not changes, but like a bit of testing. So I wanted to know, there's two ways that you can go. Through shaded. The one route is through where all the spiders are in the completely dark rooms. And the other is kind of through the top of the region. That is a lot easier, but there's also a few lizards there. And I tested out both routes a few times, and I found out that the top route might be faster. They're actually very close. I think the big difference is that there's a lot of really long rooms on the top path that you can do extended hops across. And that saves a lot of time compared to sub rooms in the other path that are very vertical, that involve a lot of climbing up poles, which is pretty slow for Gourmand. I'm also using karma caching, which I'm probably just going to use that for like every speedrun, honestly. The Gourmand did have a route that was kind of nice, where you could go find food and find a route through shaded that would get food and enough enough karma to get through the gate. Or specifically, you need enough karma to get through the. This sucks. Usually you can do an extended hop there, but I did not have a rock, and you can't do it with spears. I can't find any rocks. So that's the problem that I found with this route. Sometimes if you just don't find any rocks, you are just a lot slower. Sorry about that. Hello, welcome to the stream. I don't know who you are because the splits are covering the chat. I'll have to fix that in just a bit when I have some time. It really sucks to lose your stamina when you're on a pole because it takes quite a long time to recover. I've also found that probably the best way to move around as Gourmand is just these rolls. Specifically, I'm using fast rolls with a mod, and this mod is allowed. Oh, that's unfortunate. It is a mod that is allowed for use in speedruns. And since Gourmand can roll infinitely, it's a very efficient way to move, especially with the extra speed of a fast roll. But there can be a lizard here. It can be kind of annoying, but you can just choose which way to go to avoid it. Or it can be camping right in front of the pipe. In which case you can just throw a spear at it. One like fairly consistent strategy as Gourmand is to purposely get bit by a lizard. Because there's no chance that you die from it as Gourmand. So you get bit on purpose, and then you throw a spear at them, and you don't even lose stamina from it. I want to wait for a bit there, in case my stamina was running low. I would really like to see a mod that lets me see how much stamina I have. Not for use in speedruns, because that's kind of cheating. I would say that it's cheating. But just to be familiar with how your stamina works. Even waiting to recover fully, I still ran out of stamina doing that, so... I think it's worth it, though, the amount of speed that you get. So I'm going to move my splits out of the way once it gets to the gate here. So you just want to find as many opportunities to do slides. Or rolls. Slides and rolls are pretty good. But rolls I think are better for like kind of rough terrain because you can roll over it. Like what I did earlier. Unfortunately, there's something that you can do about this room. It just takes a long time to get up. But I find that you get to the industrial gate in around 5 minutes. Which is exactly what I got right here. Which is a lot better than my previous was, but that might have been because I didn't... Like, I tried to get food and get my karma up. I don't know if that's 2 minutes worth of time. Also, you want to swallow the lantern here, because you want it later. There's a few mods that help with movement. I think this might be the only movement-related mod that's allowed right now. Because it's the kind of thing that you can do if you use a controller. Or if you didn't... Like, people who use keyboard, they instead chose to use a virtual controller so that their keyboard inputs would emulate as if they were using a controller. So that they could do fast rolls like this. Just so that, like, people who use a controller don't have an advantage. Although, I feel like it already kind of gives you a disadvantage to use a controller. And now that, like, keyboard players could also do the same thing. I don't like you. Luckily, they didn't really do anything. So this next part of the run is very challenging. Although I think I could do something here. Okay, I messed up, but that's a much faster way to get through these. So this next part is very difficult. Oh gosh. So you want a vulture mask. It makes the rest of the run significantly easier. The problem is that it is very hard to kill a vulture as Gourmand. Or maybe not. Maybe it's not that bad. Oh. Oh, great. Hold up. Having a vulture mask makes the rest of the run significantly easier, since you're pretty much dealing with lizards constantly. Okay, can I get down the... I want to go down the pipe there. We're going to have to move low stamina for a bit. So the entirety of industrial, chimney, and the wall are all filled with lizards. Having a vulture mask makes all of it significantly easier. Try not to mess up this jump. There's a small downside. Having a vulture mask makes it slightly harder to see whether you have lost your stamina or not. That's the biggest tell is if your eyes are closed. while the vulture mask covers your eyes. Also, I don't think I'll be needing a spear anymore, so I want to avoid combat from now on. Anyway, we're going to be karma couching in this shelter. We need enough karma to get up into chimney canopy and through the wall. But now that we have a vulture mask, we'll actually keep it for later. So yeah, that previous room with the vultures was quite messy, and I don't know if there's a consistent strategy. My plan, why I grabbed the bat nip, was because I wanted to use it to craft a bomb. And by getting to the left side of the room, there's a little area where you can hide, and vultures can't get you easily. And I would throw a bomb at the vulture from there, and then land on them with a spear, or just land on them normally for damage. Hello everyone, welcome to the stream. So far this run is actually going decently well. It says that I've saved 2 minutes, but I think that's just because I'm trying out a new strategy. So these splits that it's comparing against aren't the greatest, but hopefully we can improve that. Although I did lose some time probably messing around with the vulture. I think that's going to be one of the harder parts of the run, just getting a vulture mask consistently. Because if you can get a vulture mask, it makes the rest of the run so much easier. And that room earlier, I think is probably the best place to do it because vultures show up very commonly. And there's you can craft a bomb with the bat nips. So I am losing time. Although I think these splits might have not bothered with the vulture mask. But we'll probably save time in the rest of these segments. This blue lizard, for example, would have been a problem. I don't know why he's coming up here though. They not even notice me. Seems like they're only running away now. Wow. I guess we'll keep going. I was very surprised. That lizard did a massive brain strategy. By going up there, by climbing up in the room with me, they waited for the timer on them being scared of the vulture mask. They waited for that to run out, so that they would eventually just bite me. I could have thrown a rock at them earlier, but I didn't want to knock them into the gate and be in the gate with them. So that unfortunately loses us like a minute. I mean, I think I'm not really gonna care about getting one full run. I'm going to be doing multiple streams of the speedrun category, so we'll have plenty of time to get a good run. And also this move tech, I assume what you're asking about, if I can pull it off correctly. That's wall pouncing. You need to enable a specific setting in remix mode. There's actually a movement option that was a thing in the very first version of Rain World, at least I think it was. But then it was removed in an update, but there's a remix setting to bring it back. And I can understand why it was removed, because it's very easy to do accidentally. And it can be kind of annoying in a lot of those situations. And there's only a handful of new situations where it is actually useful, like what I just did now. But I think because Gourmand climbs so slowly, being able to do wall pounces instead makes it faster in the end. Even if maybe you do mess up occasionally and accidentally do a wall pounce. I also think there's a strategy later in the wall where a wall pounce helps out a lot, but I haven't practiced that. We can also do wall pounce right here. So chimney canopy should be pretty easy. Oh great. I slowed down a little bit because I didn't want to land on the top platform. Mess that up. Mess that up. think you do recover stamina faster if you're crouching. This is a very slow room. In fact, most of Chimney is. You just have to climb very slowly up these poles. Not only does Gourmand have a faster climbing speed than other slug cats, they also have to worry about stamina. Whoa. This was actually where I got a vulture mask in one of my practice attempts. Because for whatever reason, vultures kind of struggle to get out of this room once they come down. Mess that up. At least I think it's possible to do as Gourmand. There might be some things that I try to do as that I would do in like a survivor speedrun, but that just aren't possible as a Gourmand. Those will be the things that I have to figure out as I practice these runs more. Sometimes scaring the lizards away can be a little bit of a problem. This lizard, for example, they would have just kept going down and maybe they would try to chase me. Excuse me. Oh goodness. But instead they went the other way where they got in my way. Stamina again. Goodbye, white lizard. In this room, you really want to rely on the pipes here. You'll move faster through them than you can climb on the poles. I think there's movement that you can do that makes the pole movement faster, but not as Gourmand. I lose so much stamina for that. And that's a lot of how the speedrun goes. You're trying to find ways to move without depleting too much stamina. Because constantly moving forward is always probably going to I mean, I haven't tested it, but it's probably going to be faster than trying to move really quickly and then waiting for stamina all the time. You can make that jump. And unfortunately, that was a wild pounce, but it actually kind of helped. Doing an extended slide or an extended instant hop drains your stamina very quickly. That's a vulture. This is also a good place to get a vulture mask. I think a possibly valid strategy is to get a vulture grub at some point in Chimney. That's a bad extended slide. To get a vulture grub and then drag one into the tunnel. Because that's a pretty easy place to kill a vulture, but it might be slower to go out of your way to get a vulture grub. Because you'd have to be holding that and a vulture mask, or I guess you wouldn't have the vulture mask yet. But it also means that you wouldn't have the vulture mask for for Chimney Canopy, which is probably where it helps the most, other than the wall. Because these are like the two places that you're going to use it, I guess. Mess that up. This run speeds up a whole lot after getting pebbles. Just because you're climbing vertically for most of this. Honestly, okay. This is something that I thought of recently. Gourmand should have started really high up in the world. So for whatever reason, they start in Shaded, which is like one of the lowest regions in the world. I guess like there are a few lower regions, but Shaded's pretty low. And that just means that if Gourmand wants to get anywhere, especially to Pebbles, which is their like part of their main quest, they have to climb vertically for a very long time, either up through exterior or through Chimney and the wall, right? But this character like thrives from going downwards, being able to land on creatures that deal a lot of damage, being able to do rolls easily, and not having to climb up poles in general. So if they started in like Sky Islands or like up near Pebbles already, which doesn't really make sense because most characters are kind of designed around Pebbles being the main quest. That would be kind of unfair that you'd start right next to Pebbles, although maybe it'd be a good thing because then you would immediately head over to Outer Expanse and get to experience some new content instead of wandering around the base game world. And plus you still have to get to Outer Expanse after seeing Pebbles. But that would mean that you would get to explore... Yes, spear. You'd get to explore... Or you'd get to be moving downwards from the very start. Oh, I could have gone the other way. think it's better to go down or go through this pipe. So if I went to the left before that, I would have gone to that faster. Ooh, I messed up that jump. And I didn't have enough stamina to make that jump. That's unfortunate. There's not really anything that you can do about losing stamina here. Luckily, you can actually still move fairly quickly, even when you're exhausted. But yeah, decent time lost there. Hey, this is just an easy time save later, right? Because there's no point in waiting to recover stamina before doing a wall jump segment. I'm going to lose stamina anyway, and from throwing a spear. Now I can recover. There's actually already a spear up there, so I didn't even have to waste all that time having another. But you can't rely on a spear being up here. If I learned how to do the instant wall bounce or whatever, I wouldn't have to do that. I should probably figure that out. But I haven't seen any videos about it. That Vital is about to grab me. Yo, radical. Oh, that's such a weak throw. I mean, I should just recover. I mean... Okay, I wanted to, knock that white lizard off. Wait here for a second for stamina. If I had a better idea of what Gourmand's stamina looked like, I would know when to take rests. Barely touched that pool plant for a bit. Also, another thing that I think should be changed about Gourmand, I think they should recover stamina in pipes. It's always annoying when you run out of stamina and you run into a pipe to escape, only to come out of the pipe completely exhausted still. Ow. I actually dropped the mask for a second. I guess they didn't notice. I'll not deal with them later. Because them being afraid would probably run out. I need a better name for that. Vulture fear? Up we climb. Usually I kind of like these regions for speedrunning, so you get to do fast pole climbing a whole lot. And unfortunately, Gourmand cannot fast pole climb. They can, for a bit until their stamina runs out. Which is after like a few seconds of fast pole climbing. Not even a few seconds, like 1 second. And you actually do lose stamina from climbing poles, it's just very slowly. So if you already run out of a bit of stamina, and then you climb on, and then you climb onto a pole. I don't have a spear. That's wonderful. Okay, time to lose 2 minutes. Always remember to bring a spear up here. I mean, even just holding onto that rock wasn't even for any reason. Sometimes having a rock is better for movement, especially as Gourmand, where you can't use spears for movement. You can use them, sort of, but it's not as effective. But for this area, you definitely need a spear. I think there's some movement that you can do to avoid needing a spear at all, but I can't do it reliably at all. So like some like frame perfect thing. I don't mind this too much though. Just a reminder that I need to bring a spear next time. And there will be a lot of next time. But once you get past those white lizards, there's not really anything dangerous. Oh, really? You can't roll up that? I actually didn't need to grab that rock. Yeah, I didn't need the rock, but I kind of got used to doing it with a rock. You can do an up throw there to boost yourself forward slightly. Or upwards, I suppose. I think it is sometimes worth not recovering your stamina. There are times where you can still move fairly fast even if you've completely run out of stamina. Is it night here? It is. So at the end of its cycle, it is just nighttime. It's just the end of the day. And since rain doesn't affect this area, we can just see that it's nighttime. And the entire background changes. So I still saved like 2 minutes from my previous run. I don't know what I was doing. I don't even know what this previous run was, but I suppose that I didn't grab a vulture mask and I might have been slowed down by creatures a lot. So that just means that there's like 4 minutes to save in reality. But I already know what time is possible for me to get. I do practice runs without creatures on, which is I consider doing it for this stream. But I also wanted to know what getting a vulture mask would be like for a run. And I'd like to practice that specifically for some amount of time. I think I will do a creatureless speedrun eventually, because it's how I prefer to practice. I didn't need this mask. I could have picked up a rock or something. So we're doing a little trick here that I'd like to explain. Oh great, I bonked. So you need to see pebbles in order to open up outer expanse. But luckily, that actually saves permanently. Even if you exit out of the game, the outer expanse gate is still open. So you can just go to pebbles, exit out of the game. And here we are, back in industrial with the vulture mask too. So it just saves a ton of time to not have to walk all the way back from pebbles. This is a similar strategy to what's used in a pebbles percent run, where you also have to go grab pebbles, and also the karma that you get and the market communication from pebbles. It's all saved, even if you exit out of the game. Although you do lose the karma level. That's not really that big of a deal because I shouldn't be dying anymore. I mean, I probably will, but nice jump there. Now, I think there's something that you can do in this room. It seems like there's plenty of space to do a slide, but I don't want to risk falling. Maybe I'll practice movement in that room. So there's the thing you can do here. You can actually jump all the way from that from all the way to that platform from an extended slide, but I mess it up there. I'll have to practice that more too. This is also what I mean by doing a actually good speedrun. For rivulets, my process was, at first, I basically just did a run, right? I knew what route to follow, and I just followed that. And I got like a decent time, which was world record at the time, surprisingly. But then I eventually practiced that run more, and it got to the point where I was doing individual rooms multiple times over to get the movement down. I think that's the kind of level that I want to practice for these speedruns for all the downpour characters. So that room earlier, you know, I'll practice where you can do slides, where you can do extended slides, and when you should jump to get across those gaps. All of that stuff. Although routing for Gourmand is significantly more difficult. It's not just about doing slide pounces everywhere. You also have to worry about stamina and like when you can afford to do certain movement. I'm sure you could spend forever like fine-tuning exactly what movement you're doing in every single room. Just to maximize how fast you move while maintaining as much stamina as possible. I almost grabbed onto that pole plant. Also, you saw those noodlefly eggs earlier. You can actually use those to craft a grapple worm, which may be useful for later parts of the run. I don't know if it is though. I'd have to test out if a grapple worm is useful in any part of the run. You could craft it. Perhaps I didn't run out of stamina there. Somehow that was faster. I feel like I was kind of slow in some of those parts. Playing a game for hours to play it as quickly as possible. Yeah. In reality, if you really wanted to play the game as fast as possible, you would just get it and play the game, and when you beat it, congratulations, you've done it. But I think speedrunning, at least for me, it's kind of just to get more out of a game that has potential. I really like Rain World, and I think it'd be unfortunate if I just never played it after beating all the campaigns, because there's so much more to do. Speedrunning is part of that, you know. Speedrunning kind of explores routing, like figuring out which paths are the fastest and most efficient way to navigate. It explores movement a lot more, because I think the movement system in this game is crazy. It also lets us explore a lot of like gameplay mechanics that we usually don't even care about. Oh great, that was a big mistake. I almost killed that lizard. Also, it's about this point where having a vulture mask does not matter at all. I might hold on to it still. I don't know if it'd be useful for outer expanse because there's not even that many lizards in there. It's not useful for filtration system because there's only mole lizards there. I guess there are a few lizards that might be easier to deal with this mask. We'll see. Actually, I will carry it for this run just to see if it's useful at all. So I missed that first pull. Also, I think it might be possible to make it all the way into outer expanse before it rains. Although I don't know if that's possible because, well, outer expanse is made up of sunken pier and the actual outer expanse past that. And the sunken pier rain is still a problem and it will kill you. But once you get to outer expanse, the rain no longer is a problem. Although it does make some creature spawns different, like monster kelp show up. That's not really a problem, but I don't know if it's possible to get all the way there, all the way past sunken pier before it rains. That seems almost impossible because it's kind of hard to get to outer expanse in the first place before it rains, and then getting through all of sunken pier after that. So there is a shelter that I'm going to take. I forgot to get food. There's usually a place where I get it in outskirts, but there's more food later in filtration system. Ow. Sometimes that's honestly something that's kind of annoying about Gourmand. Obviously, I didn't extended slide there. Even normal slides can be go so far that you bonk into walls and stun yourself. So you just kind of have much less places to do slides compared to normal slide cuts. Let's go over here. That is a option in the remix settings. There's a thing that can show both your breath level when you're going underwater, as well as the threat level. If you don't have music on, or if you're in an area that doesn't have threat music, it'll show little red dots depending on like what level the threat music would be at, so you can get an idea of if there's anything dangerous in a room without actually having to hear the threat music. Although I don't have that setting enabled. The alternate thing that I was going to do, I got to my mask. I think I do want to keep it. There's some fruit in here. It's not enough. It is enough. Just barely enough. I didn't plan this out at all. I just kind of imagined that I'd have enough food. There can be a mole lizard here, and they are incredibly annoying. I don't see them though. I was supposed to grab a lantern, because I can't see in this segment. I guess if you just memorize the route, it's not a problem. Going to drainage faster than farm raise. I think farm raise might be faster, but I don't want to deal with deer. I think reindeer are just way too unreliable. Oh, that's a large centipede. I didn't even realize. But just reindeer are just far too unreliable to rely on for a speedrun. Oh gosh, the stamina. There's a potential that it's faster if you got like perfect reindeer RNG. But like drainage is very fast. What time are we at? There's like only a few minutes left in the cycle. I have to get all the way to Outer Expanse and past Sunken Pier. Hid-based game filtration. I think the updated one, or the updated rooms, just made it even more confusing to navigate, especially like if you're already familiar with the way that filtration was arranged, then you would find yourself in these new rooms and have no idea where you are. But I think there is one new route. Okay. There's actually, I could have dealt with that centipede if I did a slide, but I got dragged down into that pipe. The mask was useful, there's a blue lizard. I'm gonna hold on to it, just in case, because there's gonna be other lizards in Outer Expanse. And maybe a few more in the end of Subterranean. But before I started speedruns for this character, I did a test of seeing which route to Outer Expanse would be the fastest, because there's actually 3 options. You can either go through drainage, which is what I do now. You can go through Pipe Yard, which I thought would be faster since you're already in industrial, which connects to Pipe Yard. Or going through Farm Raise. And I found that like even though you're already industrial, just going down into outskirts and then drainage ends up being faster anyway. Also, there could be a caramel lizard in this room, and I suppose mask will also makes this area a lot easier. Yes, there they are. For some reason, they're still aggro on me. So actually something that can be really dangerous about this area is the worm grass. I think that there might be some mechanic where, like, if you are exhausted, then the worm grass is more likely to grab onto you. I don't know if that's true, though. But the worm grass is going to be a real problem that you have to worry about. There is a kelp here, so make sure to have a rock or a spear to deal with it. There's also this lizard. So actually, I think keeping the mask with you is totally worth it. So there's plenty of lizards on the way that, and there's like not many options. Like this is just completely flat ground, and I don't have any way to go like above or around this lizard here. Although it's gonna keep running away from me. I can roll into it though. I guess that's one way to deal with them. You could also actually, you could craft a grapple worm here. I think there's plenty of things. Like there's gooey ducks, there's cherry bombs, there's centipedes. I think there's probably some way to craft a grapple worm. I don't know if it'd be useful for Outer Expanse though. I'll have to look into that for the future. So this blue lizard here is the other one that I was worried about. Since they're in these tunnels, there can be situations where you're totally stuck and there's no way to get around the blue lizard if it's in there. But if you have mask, they're just gonna run away. Yeah, this movement isn't the best movement I've done. You can craft a grapple worm. I think eventually I'll do some testing to see if it actually makes Outer Expanse any faster. If you're tired, it kills you faster, but not easier to grab onto. Okay. Oh yeah, that whole route that you take through Subterranean, it's also a completely new addition to Downpour, which is pretty much the only way to get from that side of the map into this side of Subterranean. Because usually you can only get there from going through farm areas. But luckily there's a new option for us. So I think these are a few rooms that can definitely be optimized with some cleaner routing and movement. I kind of just have no idea what to do. You can either go under the trains or above them, or... No, grapple worm might be good here, since there's this kind of long ceiling that you could swing across. That was a spider. Whoops, now I'm exhausted. Nice drop hook over there. They can be a problem if they show up anywhere other than that spot back there, which is actually pretty lucky. These are rooms where fast rolling makes a huge difference. I do need to make that jump. Actually, I think I can do it with just a spear. My stamina recovers. Yep, there we go. Throw boosts are a lot more effective, but you get exhausted. The thing is that if you're carrying a grapple worm, and you're probably also carrying a vulture mask. I guess you don't need to, but I'm finding that it's nice to have. Yeah, if you have a vulture, that means that you or a Vulture Mask and a Grapple Worm, then you can't carry anything else. Actually being able to do excited slides and excited instant hops can be really helpful in some areas. That's a large centipede. So it's just like a debate of like which is being able to throw rocks faster than having a grapple worm. Because this next room I'm about to go to, I guess this room too, you could kind of grapple it underneath. But this room would be a lot faster with a grapple worm. Although I heard that Gourmand still gets exhausted. They still get tired out when using a grapple worm. I don't have a spear. Hold up. I don't know if this is possible to do without a spear. Oh, there's one right there. Why'd that tire me out? So here's the second time loss from forgetting to bring a spear with me. Still not a big deal. Like, imagine just grappling across the bottom of this room underneath all these trains. Although it'd be quite tricky to make this jump. Unfortunate. That can happen sometimes. You just slip. Thank you. Oh, great scavengers. And of course they want to come down here. Luckily Gourmand, I think, has neutral reputation, so not really anything to worry about. And it really does tire you out instantly. I mean, I guess you're throwing something, starting a slide, and jumping at the same time, but I don't think that would be enough to tire you out, like, completely. I'm gonna be a little bit careful here, waiting to recover my stamina before crossing the worm grass so that I can keep constantly jumping. And I'm dead. Oh, do you need 5 karma to get into Outer Expanse? I might have to just restart the run here. Unfortunately, going over those worm grass would require a spear. So you need to find a spear and enough stamina. Or it would just take some extra time to recover stamina as well. So why did this happen? I don't have a spear. You need a spear to climb up that side. You know, let's try crafting a grapple worm. I think I know the recipe. I didn't have a... He's that guy, one of the scavengers. I can really just roll across that whole area. They've been doing that. I want a centipede here. And of course they're all climbing away from me. Okay, doing a roll there is definitely the option. Okay, so I took a bite out of the centipede. I'll need to carry them through this room, which might be not a great idea because I have to get past the monster kelp too. No. They're a good way to do that. I guess there's centipedes later too, so I won't pick them. I don't pick one up there. The thing is, I can't even test this out because I would have to get into Outer Expanse. You know what? Let's just... Whoops. I mean, I didn't mean to end the run there. You know what? Let's just... Exit out without saving. Oh, but the split's back up. There we go. Alright, so unfortunately we can't save those earlier splits. But that's fine. Try another. Crawl turn to initiate rolls. I don't know how to do that. I know it's possible, but I can never do it consistently. It always involves just wiggling around for... Also, it always feels slower. You have to do that for quite a long time just to start a roll, while with fast rolls you can just do a single jump. I threw the big slam mold away. It's my strategy for getting a lot of food very quickly. Yeah, the way that I do fast rolls is just to jump. You know, that's all you have to do. And I don't know if like it's worth doing something to save stamina loss from a single jump. I guess I'll still look into it if it's a better for movement. But you could probably do wall pounces in this tunnel. I feel like it'd be... It looks a little bit more spaced out, so it might not be as efficient. Batfly just happened to be there, so I might as well, you know, might as well eat it. Oh, I didn't want to drop my lantern. Excuse me. Yeah, they dropped me, and then not going great. And now I don't... Oh, actually, there's a rock right here. Oh, come on. I messed that up, too. That's like one of the big time saves you get from taking this route. Sorry about that. Okay, honestly, it's probably not worth doing extended slides here. There's barely even enough space to do that. Even just like spamming regular slides is probably still decent. Like, would it have been better to do that turnaround, whatever, instead of a backflip there? Oh, great. I no longer have a vulture mask. I don't know what I'm thinking. Actually, hold up. I gotta exit out. But I can start the timer accurately. Why can't I do this? That was nice and dissonant. Or not. I don't know. Sounded funny. You know, let's take the other route. It's probably faster if I'm messing up my extended hops all the time. Although we'll see if I can get past the mole lizards, or if these lantern mice are gonna get in the way. Run out of stamina right there, that's convenient. Still not happy with this. So I'm climbing through all these tunnels super slowly. Running away from this lizard. Guess that was alright. I did like 2 wall jumps and I ran out of stamina there, that's fun. Surely they could just increase the amount of stamina Gourmand has just by a little bit. I continue to be surprised by just how little it takes to run out. Bunch of spiders there. Look like they're afraid of the light. Oh, I thought the background poles were real poles. If I'm gonna take this route, I should probably try to memorize the room layouts a little bit more, since it's kind of dark and the foreground stuff can be, or the background stuff can be a bit confusing. For whatever reason, there's like fake poles in the background that you can't even grab onto. But in the dark, it's quite hard to tell which one is real. It's funny if you can kill the small spiders by rolling. There does exist a mod that shows you Gourmand stamina. I would like to know. I would like to have that mod for practice. If only you could start wall pounces on from a pole like this. Make these rooms a bit faster. So this is why I think that this route might be a bit slower. Just these handful of rooms that require you to just climb up poles for a whole lot. This guy isn't helping. I'd like to know I'm here though. Wow. Okay. I'm very surprised I didn't lose all my stamina there. Yeah, this route feels slower. Like we're about 5 minutes at the bottom of this room while it was 5 minutes at the top of this room for the other route. So I think I'm not going to take this route. You would think that taking like the extra risk of going through the spider rooms would be faster. Like a difficult but faster shortcut. Instead, it's just harder and slower. So it's really never worth going. We're here about 30 seconds later. Even though I felt like my movement was pretty decent, as opposed to messing it up constantly for the other route. It's fine though, I'll keep going for this run. Also, I can look at the crawl turn thing? Yeah, I guess I messed it up twice there unless I'm doing it completely wrong. And that room, I think, is a good... Explains, like, what I mean by slides being efficient. Of course I ran out of stamina right as I do that. Because I managed to roll across that entire room without running out of stamina once. But of course, the moment I stop doing that, I do. I tried to jump there. Anyway, we get to this part of the run. Which is the very annoying RNG, creature RNG part. You're supposed to do a wall jump there instead of just falling down. But it's hard to switch what you're doing immediately because you have to kind of stay in this rhythm for a bit. Can I craft quickly enough? Okay, now I need to find a spear. I see one. Oh, I also see a lizard. I also don't see a vulture, which is actually what I'm waiting for. I almost died to that. Guess I will just sit here. Good speedrun. There's either 4 vultures in this room or nothing at all. Maybe there's something they could do to get a vulture to go faster. I mean, this is obviously vulture grubs, but like, maybe if you're moving around more, they notice you faster. More, of course, it's probably just completely random. Some sort of timer. Or some sort of like variable that like changes how likely a vulture is to come down. I see Gourmand's shadow in the background and some of those plants. Okay, this green lizard has walked across this room like 3 times. Okay, I guess I might as well test that. The problem is that there's a bunch of lizards in these 3 rooms. Dealing with them would take quite a while. Okay, finally got the spear back. Like there can be a pink lizard, a white lizard, cyan lizard, all in these few rooms that I'd love to have a vulture mask. I guess I got kind of lucky. I mean, I'm still going to have to shelter here. There's still much more time to be saved in this run. When you're getting time saves of like multiple minutes, you know that you're very far from being optimized. Of course, that's how it's going to be in this run, so I've not played it that much. I've also not seen literally anyone else do this category. Where are the speedruns? I mean, it's understandable that people wouldn't want to speedrun Gourmand. And honestly, I don't really want to. My goal for this is to speedrun every main downpour slugcat. Gourmand, Artificer, Rivulet, Spearmaster, and Saint. Gourmand happens to be one of those characters, as well as Artificer and Spearmaster, which are... I mean, there's a reason I haven't really done too many speedruns of them. But even, like, Rivulet's story percent, I wasn't that interested in speedrunning at first. Since you had to go through the rot, I really did not like that region. So I didn't want to bother with that at all. But, you know, eventually I practiced it a bunch and kind of got used to it. I think that's just kind of how it is going to be. You know, if there's a part of the speedrun or just something about the speedrun in general that I don't like, with enough practice, I'll just get used to it eventually. It won't be that bad. Maybe Maybe that'll never be the case for Spearmaster or Gourmand. So hopefully this blue lizard doesn't suck. I guess they're too busy stuffing their face into the corner. Oh, barely saved any time here. I think I got really lucky with my first encounter with a vulture. Or maybe my second. The one where I actually got pretty far. Where there's just kind of a vulture there and I stabbed it. And it didn't run away for some reason. I mean, if it depends on the number of spears that you hit them with. Since one spear does 3 damage. Not only does it not make them run away, but it does more damage to them to earn stuns for longer. Okay, well that wasn't great. So I don't exactly know what the timing is for that. Now the problem with this is that I have a bomb, and bombs are dangerous. So I don't know where I should be to do this safely. Maybe in here? So where did I drop the spear? I don't even see it anymore. Also, that's a... And I missed completely. Unfortunate. Well, I guess I'll practice this again. Not really happy about this run in general. Also, it sucks that it was a king vulture. I guess we just gotta have to hope that if a vulture shows up, it's a normal one, because we don't really need a king vulture mask. There we go. Like a regular vulture mask worked perfectly fine for the previous run. I'm very surprised that hit them. But now I have to sit here. I also thought that Gourmand was quite a popular character. And like I would think that more popular characters would be speedran more often. But nah, I mean, it's actually like Artificer who gets the most speedruns. For some reason. I thought that it'd be like Revisit and Saint, the more like movement oriented. I guess I should have picked up a grapple worm or a vulture growth. But looking for a spear. They do not exist. Spears don't exist. I guess I exist. I'm kind of a weapon. Well, here's a vulture anyway. I really just weaved out of the way of that vulture. I don't have a strategy now. I guess this would be another opportunity to try the alternate route, or the route that I was planning on doing from the start. When I first did Gourmand speedruns, I took the top route and shaded, and I guess that was already a good route to take. Also, I'd like to mention that Artificer is another character. There we go. I mean, that still wasn't great, but it worked. Artificer is another character where you try to get a vulture mask in the beginning, and it's also very annoying to do that. Maybe that's just me. I guess it's like kind of easier since you can craft an explosive spear. But you might get a king vulture, you might get multiple vultures, you might get a red lizard, or some scavengers. You know, anything can happen really. I just don't see. I feel like a backflip there is always the fastest way to start a roll. Doing the crawl turn. Let's try this. Hold up. Okay, I guess it is pretty good. But doing the crawl turn to start a roll does not feel like, because anything that requires you to like moving backwards for a bit feels kind of slow, and a backflip only does that for like a few frames at most. There's probably a better way to do that. Okay, I guess that worked. There we go. So that gets across the entire room in like a second. And you're not exhausted at the end of it. So that's the kind of movement that actually makes this route faster. Well, even in some of the runs that I messed up that movement, it was faster anyway. It's like, I guess this route is just kind of faster by default. But that's unfortunate. You guys don't want to be in the way. I guess I was pressing jump. Oh, I lost stamina at the exact worst movement. And I dropped the rock. That's great. And I missed the pull. There goes like 20 seconds. I mean, I'm not really looking at the time, but felt like quite a while. Now where's the pink lizard in this room? Actually quite a red lizard instead. They really turned back around to catch you up there. I don't want this spear. Luckily there's a rock. Gourmand players really do look at scenarios like that and say, like, look, this character has the best movement. This character is overpowered. Even though those are like the very few scenarios where Gourmand's movement is actually better than any other slug cat. Why did I pick up the spear? They were already like 20 seconds ahead of the previous run. And I did mess up. So it should be like 40 seconds faster, honestly. If you're actually good with the movement. Although being super consistent with extended hops is very difficult. Maybe I'll get to that point eventually. Although, I'm kind of planning on these being some of my last Rain World streams. That's really the plan for this series, I guess I should call it. I want to kind of head back over through every single character to do a good speedrun, to really explore everything that the character has in their campaign. And after that, I mean, I don't think there's much left to do in Rain World. I'm probably still going to be doing streams of it, of course, if I ever have a good idea for like a challenge, or if any like mods come out that interest me a lot. Other than that, this is mostly going to be the end. I mean, of course, this is only the start. I'm only on Gourmand now. I'm probably still going to do multiple streams of Gourmand. And then like every other character except for Rivulet, of course. I'll do a little bit for Rivulet, but not their main story. Wow, okay, of course I messed up at the end, but that was almost perfect. We're just gonna go around. Or just grab the spear first. Poor lizard can't climb up poles. Now you either don't have enough time to craft a bomb here, or you have too much time and you end up waiting for the vulture. Also, hello. Welcome to the stream. Actually, a lizard, you can't do that. This might be on the other end of the spectrum. Waiting too long for a vulture. I'm waiting, I want to have a vulture show up right now. I have a bomb for them. So I can get a vulture mask, and that makes the rest of the run significantly easier. Saying that we're dealing with a lot of lizards. Why are you here? Oh, come on. I had an opportunity to get the masks there and I messed it up. Surely this vulture is dead, right? Yeah. Okay, there we go. That might be the fastest I can expect to get a vulture mask, honestly. Although if they landed further to the left of this room, it would have been better. They sounded like the noise for a second. Pizza tower. We'll see, we'll see. How the split looks at the end of this. Once I get the chimney canopy. I still have the karma cache, of course. Honestly, I'd love to eventually see someone else do a speedrun of Gourmand and get a time significantly better than mine. Just like with some like different strategy or just like a different playstyle that works better with Gourmand. For a lot of characters that I've done speedruns of, I usually like use some other run as a reference. Some speedrunner would do the category and I would say, okay, I'll follow their routes, I'll do what they do, but if I ever find an opportunity to improve that route, then I'll do that. I'll look into it, right? Sometimes I'll research like alternate strategies or alternate routes. If I ever find something that's faster, I'd try that instead. That's kind of the process that I went through for Rivulets, where it was just like following some speedrun that I found, and optimizing it as much as I could. And then eventually someone else came along and did their own speedrun with a bunch of new strategies that I also used. And, you know, I like that aspect of speedrunning, the way that you can kind of contribute to the community as a whole with your strategies. Maybe that's what I'm doing here. Maybe these Gourmand speedruns are going to be the main reference for other speedrunners to look at, like, when they want to attempt their own Gourmand speedruns. It's quite annoying to have to go through the process of figuring out a route. Maybe someone will like go through farm raise and find out that's significantly faster than going through drainage, or maybe there's some better way to go through shaded or to get a vulture mask. Having a vulture mask here just makes dealing with this blue lizard easier, but it makes a big difference because they're going to be chasing after you. I guess even if you have the vulture mask, they might still do that. I don't know why. But maybe other speedrunners are doing a similar thing, where they're just waiting for someone to do a good Gourmand speedrun to use as reference for if they want to try it themselves. You just have to put a lot less effort into figuring everything out, if you have at least a little bit of something to work off of. Oh, great. I might as well just do it again. Lost some time there, but I guess worked out eventually. Oh, look, there's a dog in the background of this room. Definitely feel like I should have ran out of stamina there. It always surprises me. Now, if only you could wall bounce up this room. Oh, great. That was too far. Like, even that's quite a long stretch of, like, land to slide across, and it's still short. It's still too short for Gourmand. Surprisingly. Well, not surprisingly. It's way too far. I gotta feel similar about Rivulet. Some of Rivulet's movement is way too fast. Even though I literally speedrun them. You think that you'd want fast movement, but it ends up actually being kind of unwieldy in a lot of scenarios. So that the movement actually becomes less complex. Like as Survivor, for example, there's always space to do some sort of movement, whether it be like a slide pounce or doing rolls or doing an extended slide, you know. But in the handful of locations where Survivor can do an extended slide, those are the locations that Rivulet does a normal slide. Not really, because you can actually start a slide pounce a lot earlier, so... like, also a full extended slide as Rivulet is, like, multiple times longer than Survivor's, so... Save for Gourmand, actually. They're both kind of unwieldy. Kind of feels like for Gourmand, the entire world should have been squashed down vertically and stretched out horizontally. It's a better fit with their movement. I mean, that's extreme, but maybe for like if they had their own region. I guess that's kind of what Outer Expanse is, right? But I feel like that terrain is way too uneven to do slides in. But I guess it works out if you want to do rolls. Start messing that up. Ah, that's always annoying. So I'll just do that. Just whenever you have an opportunity to do rolls, just do it. Trying to do other movement just makes you more likely to mess up or slam into a wall or run out of stamina. You could just roll. And it's like decently fast, and you're not going to lose stamina. Or you might. There's a possibility. Probably didn't lose stamina there. I don't know if going up that pipe is any faster. Feels like it'd go way too far to the side. You just want to keep going up this way, and climbing up the poles would exhaust you too quickly, and you have to deal with a drop wig. That's honestly the biggest reason. If the drop wig happens to be there. I'll try not to forget the spears for these segments. If anything, you know, you don't really need a rock. Usually you use throw boosts for horizontal movement, but we mostly want vertical movement, so I don't even need to have rocks. But you do want spears for vertical movement. Yeah, nice jump. Luckily, you don't need full stamina. Okay, honestly, I just gave up. Didn't think that I'd make that jump, and I tried to move back, but it didn't work, so just have confidence. I still would have been able to grab a spear if I fell to the bottom platform. And watch there be a spear at the top platform. Well, there isn't. I would have had to do that. There's two white lizards right there. Both about to be scared away. Three of them, actually. Wow. There's one up here. I guess it's nice that they're all clumped up down here and not further. But that one might be a problem if it runs away too far. I lose Vulture Fear. I love how you can see the blue fruit there kind of wiggling around because the white lizard knocked into it. Probably shouldn't have waited for stamina there because I'm going to lose it doing these wall jumps anyway. Perfect place to relax right there. So I wouldn't be surprised if they tried to attack me right now. Or if they try to camp me out up here. Oh, I can just go around luckily. I keep losing stamina in this room. I still kind of feel like I'm missing something. You really are just supposed to stop every 5 seconds to recover your stamina. No way around it. Even if you think that you're only doing a handful of jumps. Right, I wanted a spear here. I wanted to do a flash there, not a slam my face into the wall. There's a spear up there anyway I could have grabbed. Hey, I have a spear right here. Thank you for the reminder, though. Then watch there be a... Now that I have a spear, there's going to be a spear in that room. Anyway. I guess the nice thing is that everyone who speedruns this category will have to deal with the same restrictions. Everyone will have to play Gourmand, so even if I make a lot of mistakes, everyone else probably will too. Or maybe I'm just carried by Revealit, and I'm actually not playing very well as Gourmand. I don't know. I'll try to... I mean, that's what these next few streams are going to be for. To practice at this. Run and get consistent at it. Yeah, there's a spear right there. And there's two spears, actually. Oh, I can't down spear? Not waiting for stamina recovery again. Also, I no longer need the vulture mask. Love doing that though. Very few opportunities to do extended slides as Gourmand. Just like a handful of rooms. This is one of them. Unfortunately, doing extended instant tops requires you to recover your stamina, so I don't know if they're worth doing. Yeah, it's hard to do an extended slide here. Sometimes that happens. The lighting in this room is not great when it's nighttime. 5 minutes, wow. Oh, and then it just becomes dark all of a sudden. Yeah, it's a bit janky in these rooms. Yeah, I think getting the vulture mask is absolutely worth it. You lose a little bit of time in industrial, and then you just can just run through the rest of the regions. I'd love to be a character that could just either use the spear for throw boosting or just throw it away. But Gourmand can do neither. I do want a rock though. A rock can make the 0G movement a lot easier if you mess up. Why does that happen? When you do a bunch of flips around like that. Okay, I think I figured out how to line that up pretty consistently though. You just have to wait for a little bit. Sometimes you go a little bit too fast into that hole, so you have to slow down by throwing backwards so that you're slow enough to grab onto it. So this is actually one of the differences between running on, if you're doing like a non-downpour category, it still matters if you have downpour enabled or not. If you're playing Pebbles percent as Survivor, for example, if you have downpour enabled, then those rooms will become dark at night at the end of the cycle, which normally doesn't happen if you don't have downpour enabled, so it actually makes it a little bit harder to see. And also a spider spawns and possibly a scion lizard too. There are different nighttime spawns. I remember seeing a scion lizard in that one expedition where everything is dark. Oh wow, an actual use for a whiplash in regular movement. Never thought we'd see it today. Let's see if I can do the infinite slide. No, I cannot. I mean, I did it, but I didn't do the jump afterwards. You can actually jump all the way to that platform above me. I don't know how I did it in practice. I just kind of jumped and it worked. Wow, I'm a vulture is so scary. These rooms, it doesn't matter if I'm low on stamina. Still move pretty fast through them. For this, I think I want to wait. Yeah, that felt pretty good. The moment you start moving down instead of up, Gourmand gets like twice as good. Maybe like 10 times as good, actually. I just really feel like that's a mistake with their campaign. Having to go all the way from Shaded up into Pebbles takes forever as Gourmand. But the moment you start moving down, it's significantly improved. I did not want to go that far with that slide. Or with that. I did not go far enough with that jump. I have not lost my stamina this whole time. Oh, here we go. What was I thinking that I would actually keep that up this whole time? Happy with these splits though. I mean, if I could make it to the end, this would be a good time. Is that actually possible? Probably not. We'll see. And also, if I find out that using a grapple worm is faster, then... I mean, I might as well try it. There's a room where there's plenty of stuff to craft with, so I might as well just try to make a grapple worm. You can do it, man. Thanks. Luckily, drainage is fairly easy. As in, there's only a handful of creatures that you have to worry about. These lizards, though, can get in the way, but they usually always fall down, eventually. There's a much better way to navigate through that room as Survivor. Not as Gourmand, though, of course. Because you slide too far. I still don't know how to jump out of the water consistently. Because I jump just about at the edge of the water. And it works most of the time. Until like the 1 out of 10 chance that it just doesn't work. Oh. It kind of got stuck there. We're going to have to recover for a long time. Gourmand takes like 10 years to recover from almost drowning. Probably from almost starving too. Actually, no. It would be the opposite, right? They shouldn't really worry about starving for a long time. Honestly, that should be a thing. Gourmand should be able to starve and not have any, or not have as many penalty, or as big as the penalty for starving. Like, if you starve, you basically just become Survivor. I love how you can always consistently drop directly into that pipe. If you time it correctly. There we go. I jumped out of the water correctly that time. Although I didn't really do anything different. It's kind of how Rain World is sometimes. Don't feel like you've done anything different, but it turned out to work anyway. Can't really avoid getting exhausted here. Somehow I continue to improve these splits. Also, I'm going to do something here that I said I was going to do last time. My turn. Just to make this easier. I can still see, or I can still like memorize what route to take, but it's nice to know exactly where the platforms are, especially these ones. Because if you miss the platforms, you just fall down and lose a lot of time and risk dying to the mole lizards. They don't care about your mask. Also, I got lucky that the lantern landed right there. I kind of threw it without knowing where it would land. the best movement here. I guess it worked. No mole lizard, that's good. It also means that I can't carry any items here, which means that if a mole lizard grabs me, I am just dead. There we go. Being able to see these platforms, I think, helps out a lot. Also, I want to try out something here. Yeah, there we go. You can climb up into this top tunnel, which is usually quite hard to reach. Like, you need to use a spear. Which using a spear is not great as Gourmand. But it worked out here. You just do a all-turn vault. Unless that's the wrong move I'm thinking of. Where you like turn around and halfway through turning, or you crouch and then turn around and halfway through turning around you jump. You get a little bit of extra height. Okay, we have an unexpected visitor. But luckily I can just kill them with slides. Ooh. Okay, this is actually a time save. You move quite a lot faster through tunnels if you're carrying a spider for some reason. So, tiny little speed boost through these rooms. However, the centipede is still here. Really? Hold up. Sorry, I'm just a little bit confused as to what happened there. I slid into them. They did not care at all. I then threw a rock at them. They did not care at all. Also, this spider is not speeding me up as much as I thought they would. Maybe that's just something with Gourmand. Oh, come on. Really? This was going so well. That sucks. That combo doesn't really mess me up, because I would have been able to just keep rolling through everything. And also, I'm not going to deal with the spider. I think it's let me down. Because I had to deal with it when fighting the centipede. I should really just carry a spear or something. Just immediately stab the centipede. That's great luck. Oh, that's even better. And scavengers. This continues to get better. I guess the scavengers might have dealt with the centipede. Yep, go ahead. Move out of the way. You're not slowing down anything at all. Yeah? Oh, actually the centipede is just over there instead. And I still don't have a spear. And we'll just have to wait for them. Luckily they went above me. Although they might still kill me. I feel like Gourmand should not die from that size of centipede. It's supposed to depend on the mass of the creatures, whether a shock from a centipede is lethal. No, extra mass, Gourmand should be fine, but they are not. You know what? Let's go above. And the monster kelp doesn't even grab onto me. I'm exhausted. I don't want to go through the worm grass here. I was still tired. Okay, now I can roll. Kill that centipede, why not? I don't like this guy. I think the vulture timer ran out. So I don't think this run. Oh, okay. Lucky time for that monster kelp to get distracted. Although I might pop it right now. No, we're good. So how do I craft this? I know that, oh, hold up. I need a rock. Did I see one there? I don't have I did not drop the vulture mask. I can just find a rock around here somewhere. There we go. Why'd I have to grab onto the blue lizard? I think they're too slow anyway. So we'll see if having a grapple worm makes us any bad. Oh, well, let's grab the vulture mask. Try not to die to the worm grass in the process. Thank you. That's not a vulture mask. Wait, where is it? Oh, I dropped it over there. Okay. Several mistakes. Where is it? Where did I drop it? I think it was right here. Yeah, there we go. So after about 2 minutes of time lost, let's see if this saves any time in the end. Or if I will die to worm grass anyway. Yeah, you can just craft life, so don't think too much about it. Honestly, this is what actually ends up being one big complaint that people have about the character. How ridiculous the crafting system kind of is. The fact that you can craft like some completely random items together does not have any like logical explanation. Whereas the rest of the game tries to be fairly like consistent. With like the way the world works. And we have a character here that just completely does not make sense at all. Hello. Welcome to the stream. Let's try to do this. Okay, maybe that was faster. You're very late. Well, that just means that you get to see an interesting part of the run. Because the rest of the stream was me just dying before industrial multiple times. But this time I've actually made it to Outer Expanse. This is also the first time that I'm trying out a grapple worm in a speedrun, so I might completely fail at using it correctly. Oh, see. Like, did that really save any time at all? Probably not. Also, this spider really needs to get out of the way. As long as it doesn't become aggressive against me. So this room should be a place where the grapple worm saves time. Although the ceiling is quite low. There we go, that's pretty good, right? I could have just kept going along the ceiling. I thought that this was the pipe that I had to go into. For some reason, it kind of felt like it was the end of the cycle, but it's just kind of raining just because it feels like it. This is where the grapple worm stops being useful, because it is no longer a ceiling. And I am exhausted. I can't believe I actually made that jump. Can I make it up there? Okay, not if I totally mess it up like that. Okay, I don't think it's possible. Maybe we can do this anyway. some practice from the rivulet speedrun where I used the grapple worm. It helped out there. Actually, yeah, going along the bottom is probably faster anyway. Because you get to do that. Maybe I should keep going along the bottom? Or across this whole room. I guess that probably would be the best way to go. And this room is the last place where I'm probably going to keep the grapple worm. Yep, made that jump easily. And there we go. That just saves so much time. I'll hold on to them in case I find any other place where they may be useful. Sorry about that, squeaky. I've died to the worm grass at the bottom of this room several times. Please do not. Try your hardest to avoid them. I'm not a fan of the sounds of scavenger combat. Especially since scavengers may decide to fight me too. I've not done anything to improve our reputation. Yeah, they might help in this room. Sorry about the unlock, by the way. I know that some people get a little bit annoyed when I completely ignore unlocks, but that's just kind of how it is for speedruns. I dropped everything I had. And the grapple worm is dead. Well, alright. I don't know. I think I landed on the grapple worm. And it died. Luckily, I still have a vulture mask. So I can just walk through. Yeah, like imagine having to deal with all those lizards without a vulture mask. This room is actually somewhere where you can do an extended slide. But I did not. I'll look out for any place where I could use a grapple worm if I did not kill that. Like, I guess I could use it in this room. You could definitely do an extended slide here. Yeah, it seems like rolling is a pretty consistent way to get past the worm grass. I did not roll there, but I got lucky. Wow, that was a risk. That's quite a large clump of worm grass there, too. You can do an extended instant hop across that room, and it is very scary, because if you mess it up, you're just dead. The worm grass actually looked quite green here. It's an interesting detail. So I wanna explain something real quick. I usually, so a while ago when I was speedrunning Rivulet, I lost motivation because it was a lot of just grinding, waiting for a good RNG run. Because creatures can really get in your way in speedruns. Creatures are probably the biggest like factor when it comes to like RNG. I don't like that guy. I really don't like that guy actually. If I can find a spear, I will. I do not see any spear. Okay. This might be dangerous. I missed. My rock didn't hit them. Wow. Well, goodbye to that run. Not that big of a deal. I will get the grapple worm again. I did like that. Oh, I don't like these scavengers. Should they count with a baby centipede? I guess I could try that. Also, don't need this lantern. I did not have to deal with that help in my previous attempts. Maybe they were all distracted by a baby centipede. But for Rivulet, right? I was very like demotivated to do speedruns because it felt like I was just rolling the dice over and over again. Just hoping for a good run eventually. But then eventually I thought of an idea and I looked through the workshop and I found a mod. A mod that removes creatures from the game. Not every creature, but any creature that spawns from a den, it just removes the den spawn. And practicing with that mod actually made everything so much easier. I don't like this axolotl here, although they're distracted by a centipede. That's their den, right there. Okay, well, I guess my slide did not work, or neither or my roll. There goes the. I'm gonna keep going, honestly, but that round was pretty much dead. I mean, there's only a few rooms left after that, getting past that kelp where I died. Firstly, that means that none of those splits are saved either, which is. I mean, I guess I could have just kept going anyway. The centipede. I don't know how to deal with the centipede, honestly. Sometimes they're in like a horrible spot. Or I guess I could try to stay in a different shelter if there's any. Actually, yeah, I should stay in a different shelter. I have plenty of time. I don't know why I went this way. But for Rivulet, I practiced a lot with a mod. That removed creatures, and it significantly improved my motivation to actually do speedruns. So what it let me do is I could practice speedruns without worrying about RNG at all. I pretty much always dealt with exactly the same type of run every attempt. Because the biggest factor for RNG is like where creatures are, whether they're aggressive or not. It's like things like that. And removing creatures entirely means that there's so much less RNG. So I could just practice the movement. Eventually get good enough at the movement so that when I did do real attempts dealing with creatures, my bad movement would not be a factor. I would be significantly more consistent with moving, which is the important part of the speedrun. Oh, I guess that's one way to deal with them. So then the speedrun just became about like, could I get lucky instead of can I get lucky and like just curious, what happens if I combine these two items? A bat fly. That's not helpful. I need a rock. Of course, it's very hard to see rocks in this room. Okay, I need to. There's one. So crafting this, it's possible in this room, but it's quite annoying. So it's good to take a few bites out of a centipede first so that it doesn't shock you. So practicing runs without any creatures is something that I've kind of started to do. Oh, do I even have enough karma? No. I'll stay in the other shelter. Also, nice lag spike. Classic subterranean moment. And by lag spike, I mean like my gear. Goodness. Also, worm, don't die. Drop a worm. So I have done practice runs of the Gourmand speedrun without any creatures. And I got about 44 minutes is my best time. So I guess like best case scenario, I get a run that's about 44 minutes. About to be the meal. Okay, that's all the food I need. I don't know if that's the fastest way to get food though. It took quite a while. The problem with this comparison, however, of course, is that you are going to deal with creatures in an actual run. Creatures are always going to be a thing. And for some characters, it's more or less important. For Rivulet, for example, my best time without any creatures at all is actually slower than my best time with creatures. And that's just because creatures don't actually play an important part of the run. They either slow you down, like sometimes they get in the way and they slow you down for a little bit, or you get lucky and you don't really get slowed by, and you just don't get slowed down at all. And for my actual run, I just got lucky and the creatures weren't really a big problem. So it ended up, oh gosh, scavengers. And just because of the extra practice that I had, I ended up getting a better run, just a normal attempt. Oh, you don't even need karma for this gate. Okay, I guess that's good to know. In case I die, like twice. I mean, if I die twice, I'm not going to continue the speedrun. For practice sake, this is good to know. But that just means like practicing without creatures as Rivulet is really important because you can get an idea. You can get very like comfortable with the movement, so that you never met. Ideally, you'd never make any mistakes with the movement. Of course, that's not going to happen in normal attempts, but you can get close. You can get closer. And then it's just a matter of getting lucky with the creatures for an actual attempt. Because without doing that, then you need to both get lucky with the creatures and get lucky with your own movement, because you're not going to be as familiar with the execution. That's the kind of movement that you can do if you have a grapple worm here. But those practice runs without any creatures at all. Well, okay, first of all, there's another thing that I want to, not first of all, of course. I'm very good at speaking. Another thing is that for some campaigns or for some speedruns, creatures are very significant. Like Artificer, for example. A no creatures Artificer run doesn't give you a clear idea of what the speedrun is actually going to be like, because you're always going to deal with creatures. There's always going to be scavengers. There's always going to be lizards everywhere. And there's no such thing as a perfect run with no creatures at all. That just doesn't exist. Okay, I actually do have to go over this. I mean, I see it's a tunnel down there, so maybe you don't have to, but... There we go. And same for Gourmand, kind of, since a big part of the route is getting a Vulture, at least from this route that I've created. There's so many lizards in the way in the first half of the run that having a Vulture Mask just makes everything so much easier. So, practicing without creature means that you don't get to practice getting a Vulture Mask in the first place, which is significant. Of course, there's probably also another important thing is that disabling creatures makes it impossible to craft a grapple worm. So for that movement, it would matter a lot. I didn't want to go in here, but honestly, maybe this is faster. No, it probably isn't. But you can still go this way. Because here we are. This is going to be slightly inaccurate compared to a normal run, because it's not going to be as late in the cycle, so I might not even see that monster cup that killed me last time. Rather didn't get started roll there. Pop down there if you didn't know. Why did they try to grab me? I have Ultra Mask. Also, I'm going to try to avoid falling too far because it might just kill the grub apparently. Sorry for all these lag spikes, by the way. I don't know why I have this problem. There's something wrong with my computer or like my game settings. Fortunately, you can't do extended slide while holding onto a grapple ring. Maybe I should drop them here. We'll see. I'll bring them to the very end, and if there's any point where it feels like they're not useful anymore, that's the point where I'll grab or I'll drop them in normal runs. But I can use them here, for example. Once I recover. So that might be faster. Ow. Honestly, if landing from too far kills the grapple worm, slamming into the wall like that should also kill. Oh, I'm glad it doesn't. So you can also just roll past those worm grass. Seems like a very consistent strategy. You also just do that. Unless you land too far back. Love when the terrain allows you to just do a roll across the whole thing. I don't know why I tried to stay in the shelter. Sometimes I forget how amazing this region is. Just because you have to play Gourmand. Oh, well, you can also play Survivor. I don't mind Survivor Outer Expanse speedruns as much. Yeah, it's annoying to play as Gourmand, but then you have a moment to look at and just appreciate this region for what it is. Until you died of monster kelp, of course. And I'm exhausted again. Yeah, there's just no monster kelp here, so just I stay in the shelter I got here a bit earlier. Although it seems like the grapple worm still is useful. There's also a chance that these yeeks should be useful. Although, I don't know if moving with the yeek is any faster than just moving normally. If only there's a ceiling in this room. So the leeches are kind of a problem. Oh, goodbye, grapple worm. I guess they can't. They get dragged away by the leeches. I guess they're just gonna be here, slowing me down this whole time. And I think this is why we want to keep the Ultra Mask until the end. Except for the fact that I don't have any way to deal with this guy while I'm exhausted. I actually got exhausted after like 2 seconds. What was that? Well, I'm glad they just did that. Otherwise, I still would have had to deal with them once the Ultra Fury ran out. There's also a centipede in this room. Yeah, it's like the worst centipede placement. The very end of Outer Expanse. It's a massive centipede you have to deal with. Surely it's not this one. That's the scavenger's already dealt with it. Might as well give him the Vulture Mask. I don't think there's going to be any other lizards from this point on. Let's grab the seek right here, you know? Also, I just realized I forgot to turn the speedrun timer on. I think that might be necessary for if you want to submit a speedrun. Also, that Yeek immediately died, so rip. There is the biggest centipede. That wasn't that bad. Okay, it's impossible to go up through tunnels. Kind of really annoyed by these tunnels. You can't really see what you're doing, and you have to keep going. Like, they're very diagonal, which means that you move very slowly through them. Diagonal movement through tunnels is not very fast at all. Still exhausted, by the way. There we go. So I don't think keeping the grapple worm anywhere on this area would be useful. Oh, is that not a high jump? Who knows? I think you can get through this cutscene faster if you have a bomb. If you just throw a bomb at the start of the room, you'll launch yourself to the other side and trigger the ending. Also, if you're holding a yeek here, you jump higher. There we go. We made it to the end. Of course, the time at the end is not going to be accurate at all. There's a timer here I want to look at. Wow, 32 minutes, so fast. Yeah, this is not an accurate timer at all. I think it completely ignores the time that you like cycles where you die. So if you wake up in a shelter, spend 10 minutes doing something, and then you die, those 10 minutes aren't even added to the final time for this timer specifically. And that also counts for exiting out of the game, which means the entire time that I spent going up to Pebbles, since I exit out of the game at the end, it doesn't save that time either. So that's why it's only 32 minutes. When the actual time of the run is an hour. Yeah. Not as great. I think this is going to be the end of the stream. I will continue to do more practice of this category for future streams. I don't know how many streams I want to do of each character, but I just want to have a good attempt that I'm actually happy about, like submitting. Because of course I could submit anytime for Gourmand and I would get at least like second place. I don't know if there's any other Gourmand speedruns that are in the process of being verified, because the current world record is like 3 hours long. So obviously anything beats that. Any like actual speedrun attempts, but if someone else has done it first, of course, it's going to take a while for my run to get verified and it wouldn't be world record. But that's not what I want to do. I want to do enough practice and enough attempts to get a run that I think would be difficult to beat. Because for a lot of these speedruns, you know, they're not great at first. Gourmand and Spearmaster in particular have not great runs on speedrun.com right now. But if I put in the practice and enough attempts, which is what these streams are for, eventually I'll have a time that I can put up on those leaderboards. And if other people think about speedrunning, they're gonna actually have something difficult to compete against instead of like some 3-hour world record. So yeah, that's going to be the end of the stream. I think for next time, I want to do practice without creatures at all, just to get familiar with the movement, because I still feel like I'm making a lot of movement mistakes as Gourmand. Of course, I'll have to figure out how to do the stuff with the grapple worm, because it felt like it was worth it. Maybe I'll have to time that on its own, like subtracting the amount of time it takes to craft the grapple worm and then the amount of time that it saves in the next few segments. We'll see about that. But yeah, it's going to be the end of the stream. Thanks everyone for watching. See ya. Oh, this is a fitting end screen.